Remember the 6th of November? Good evening, Victoria. This is November 6, 2014, and today's video is brought to you by the word topic, because that's actually what I have, is something to talk to you about. Yesterday, as you may know, and as I mentioned in my last video, I went to a psychiatrist. A long story short about the psychiatrist, because my topic isn't about the psychiatrist. He gave me a bit of a diagnosis. I'm on medication, gonna see how well that works. Everything seems to be good so far, so good with that. But the thing I actually want to talk to you about today is trans individuals. And you're wondering probably, well, like, what does that have to do with the psychiatrist appointment? I had to fill out a form when I went to the psychiatrist, just new patient form, like, hey, what's my name, what's my health history, what other people in my family have, all that important stuff. And one of the things I had on there was gender. And I had to pause for a bit because a lot of times I have sex and gender on more new forms when people are anticipating that people might have a different gender than what their sex is. So I was a little hesitant. I eventually put it on there. And after I asked the lady, what do you want to put down? And she said, well, you usually put down. And I went, do you mean sex or do you mean gender? And she's like, gender, male or female. And I'm like, so you mean sex. So that bothered me a bit, but I moved on really quickly from that because it wasn't that big of a deal. Fast forward through a day, a lot of stress after getting my medication and lots of running back and forth and an exam and all that. I get home, conversation with boyfriend when I'm hanging out with him, and we had a discussion about something, which brought on to a very strange topic. And before I get to that, I want to preface everything I'm going to say with a question. How selfish do you have to be to deny someone the chance to change themselves? Honest question. How selfish do you have to be to say what you change about yourself doesn't matter, what I think is more important? And I ask this because one of our friends, you have met them, they're a very awesome individual, and I'm using they correctly. They are non-binary and they're one of the coolest people you're ever going to meet. And they're super nice and super awesome people, and they've been experimenting with their gender a bit, trying to figure out who are they and what exactly they feel comfortable about. Unfortunately, for a very open community that the people I associate personally with, not everyone they associate with is as cool and open-minded. We have a lot of individuals in our group who don't understand the idea of pronouns, or at least don't understand the importance of pronouns. Friend uses they, then them, and their, and those are the pronouns they've decided to go by. But other people keep using the wrong pronouns, and when confronted with it, they go, well, it doesn't really matter. They don't really care. It doesn't really matter. They don't correct me, so why should I use the other pronouns? And it bothers me, because after a certain point, you stop correcting. After a certain point, you get so jaded you don't correct anymore. I changed my name my freshman year of college to Irene from what it used to be, and a lot of times I correct people, like you, Victoria, I correct certain people who I've talked to who have said they're going to make an effort to use my name Irene. I correct them because they've made that endeavor. Other people I don't correct. I've given up the idea of correcting. And that's just the name. That's just with something really small, really personal for me. Not even something big and important for that. People who decided my gender is different. I am different. I do not go by the name or the pronouns that I used to. And just for someone to brush it off and go, it doesn't matter. Why should I change it? I'm comfortable using the way I am now. I am set in my ways, and why should I change that? That is the most rude and disrespectful thing I can even think of. You are being so selfish to say, what, I'm more important than their own security within themselves. I'm more important than they are. Essentially what you're saying every time. But then the story gets even better. My friend has decided and has been thinking about the fact that they might not be a they might be a he, or they might be a she. Long story short, they brought this idea up to their roommate, and they talked to their roommate about it, and you know what the roommate said? I'm not comfortable with it. I'm not comfortable calling you by those pronouns. I'm not comfortable with you expressing yourself as who you are, as the person you're comfortable being, because I'm being selfish about it. And that really pisses me off. Moral of today's video is, if people come to you and have something they've changed about themselves, their name, their pronouns, the way they dress, the way they view themselves, the most important thing you can do for them is to accept it and to work with them to change how you've behaved. I am gender fluid, and I've seen it and I know how it feels. It is the most important thing in the world for someone to use the right pronouns and the right names on someone. I mean, but if you want to be a dick about it, if you want to be like in Victoria's last video, another sign of a douchebag is someone who doesn't use someone else's name and pronouns correctly. Don't be a douchebag. Use people's right name and pronouns, because it makes a world of a difference to them. And you'd be surprised how happy a person can be made just by using the right names. Love you, Victoria. Happy to see you again tomorrow. Love you. Bye.